accommodating. They were willing to spend the money, but you really had to have a great story. During the Rwandan genocide, I said, this is a big story, and the budgets were tight, so I hitchhiked out there with the Belgian Air Force, I think it was, and Americares got out there. They said, well, we think this is a big story too. But I always so deeply believed in these stories because my mother, when I was a child in grade school, always used to say, Bobby, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we always had that kind of onus on us. I always wanted to. My mother ran a 5,000-bed Red Cross hospital during World War II, and my father was a psychiatrist and helped thousands and thousands of people. So it was sort of in our blood. But I wanted, so I kind of came up with this thing we call backpack journalism. So I could go by myself. I could take an economy fare or hitchhike or use miles to go out to these terrible catastrophes because I really wanted to tell the stories of these people because there are so many inspirational institutions like Save the Children, International Medical Corps, Feed My Starving Children, World Vision. We have one now which is called Artists for Peace and Justice. We have built the first ever free high school in Haiti. Nearly 3,000 students, the poorest students in Haiti, are going to graduate from high school this June. So, it's been such a tremendous honor to be able to tell the stories of these people. And with Dr. Danger, it was like, well, people aren't interested in this. Let's make it interesting. We'll make the danger, the intrigue, and the cloak and dagger there. But in the end, the mission is going to be to save a child or to at least bring awareness to how journalists are being slaughtered in the streets of Somalia, where we went down to the beach and we actually went out with a couple of real pirates with their RPGs and their AKs. We didn't know it at the time they were, but it turned out later that they were real pirates.
It seems like you could have been in a lot of trouble, and it's lucky that you're here.
Well, I was. Trust me, I was in a lot of trouble.
What motivates you to do this? You said your parents, but I mean, a lot of people have really terrific parents that don't turn out to do the same kinds of things or have the same kind of motivation. You literally are putting yourself in danger to save one child. I mean, in the first story that you told, what motivates you to do that? It'd be much easier just to stay back home and read medical journals and do morning television.
Well, I think part of it is that you see the work of these wonderful institutions like Save the Children. I mean, just they're out there year in, year out. And then, part of it's a calling, too. My local pastor said, we have got to do something about Christians being executed, incinerated, a genocide in the Middle East that no one's paying any attention to. So I work very hard with him to really try and make a difference. But I mean, you feel that we all have a mission and a calling in life, and there's nothing better than knowing that you have a calling and following that calling. It's the best blessing there is.
What story are you most proud of?
I would think that story of those little children, taking those 3,000 children out of there. The other one was, we, Save the Children, were tossed out of Darfur, along with a number of other NGOs by the government. And I got on an airplane, I ran out there, and I talked to the government. I said, boy, if you think you're in trouble now, wait until, hundreds of thousands of these children would die without any care. And they said, you bring John Kerry here, we will let you back in. So I go, that's going to be the most impossible thing in the world, right? So I get back to Dubai that night. I call John Kerry and he says, sure, Bob, no problem. I'm going to Pakistan next week. I'll stop by. So John Kerry flies into the Khartoum airport, gets out, meets with the government. They say, sure, we'll let you back in. And they did. And then the other great Sudan story is that I had been asked to go out for NBC News when we bombed the biological weapons factory in Sudan. So I go through it all night long and I examine all the logs and I get on the Today Show and I say, look, I'll stake my reputation on the fact that this is really a pharmaceutical plant, not a biological weapons factory, and there'll be many children who will pay with their lives because now they won't have these pharmaceuticals. So the president of the country goes, what? A Western reporter, fair? You bring him to me. So I go and meet with him, Omar Bashir, and I sit down and I say, you don't have the best reputation in the West as a president. Why don't you do yourself a favor and end this war with the South? He says, fine. I will accept an envoy from the United States. I go, wow. And he said, and what will you do for me? I said, I know do you love Arabic? I'm going to learn Arabic and come back and interview. So I met with President Clinton that Friday night. He says, I'll go right on it. Like, I'll get your bags and put them in the car. Monday morning, he names an envoy. I mean, it took a few years, but eventually there was a peace settlement with the South, and I learned Arabic and came back and interviewed him.
So can we send you to North Korea? It seems like...
Pretty hard language, sure.
We only have a couple more minutes. Tell us what you've been doing recently. I know you're not still on TV regularly, but you're on occasionally as a consultant. But you also have a new passion in coffee, which we're drinking right now.
Well, it's because, I've always looked for ways to bring sustainable development. You can always bring in the dollars and the donations, and they're important in crisis, but how do you sustain that over time? And I love coffee because we have sourced the very best beans in the world, where we pay the farmers a lot more money for those beans, but that means they can afford to build hospitals and schools and clinics. So it's a wonderful overall story. It's what you might call decommoditizing coffee. It's not just a commodity. It's something that has spectacular health benefits. So we named this after my show, Dr. Danger Coffee. It's a wonderful Dr. Danger Coffee website that has all the videos and adventures on it. And it makes a real difference because we donate back to this orphanage in near Kenya, in Kikuyu, Kenya, where I go out every year when the children are the most desperate in Africa.
So not only are you helping their parents to create community and sustain it, but you're also giving back to the kids, which is
wonderful?
Amazing.
And doing yourself a world of good with what may be the new superfood.
Yeah, that's why you've called it the new superfood. Certainly like a red wine, almost in the sense that it's got health benefits that nobody saw coming. But this is amazing. We're so glad you're here. And I know you're working on a new book about coffee as well. That'll come out.
It'll be out at the end of the year, and I'd love to come back.
That would be great. We'd love to hear more about it. Thank you so much for coming in today. We're so glad to have you and just to hear about your adventures. And you can now add to your adventures having been here on WATC.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming. We'll toast with coffee.